Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the How to Do Stuff in the Wilderness podcast. We've decided that we're going to keep the name. I was outvoted on that one, so I've just been kind of trying to memorize it, which is harder than you might think. But here we are, we're back with episode, 5?
I think so.
Look at that. So happy 5-episode anniversary to us. Thank you all for sticking by us, too, in this time. As you know, we've been kind of undergoing a transition here. And amidst all that transition, we kind of made a mistake last week that we'd like to make an apology for. So this is a formal apology from us, from me, Sam, and Calvin, and Clyde, and also Dan, who was actually the one who gave us this information. So you really need to check what sources you're consulting there, Dan. But anyway, last week we were looking for a sponsorship from Apple, which we haven't had a lot more success with that. But part of that is because we said something that I think was kind of not really accurate. The CEO of Apple is no longer Steve Jobs, and in fact, Steve Jobs passed away some time ago, which is really unfortunate and really sad. So we apologize, our condolences to anyone who was affiliated with him and to that whole company. And this was on us. We really didn't understand the whole situation there. And so we're very sorry that he's dead.
Yeah, and we're gonna actually, in remembrance of Mr. Steven Jobs, we are actually going to do a moment of silence. So
well, we don't really have time. The dead air really doesn't read well for
so I guess we can
Spotify. So we'll just,
if you want to do a moment of silence, we're gonna do one probably off camera. We already did one, so
yeah.
Or off mic, I guess.
So just pause this video or this podcast, pause the audio right now, and take a moment of silence, however long you need, because this is an ongoing grieving process for all of us.
We did 10 seconds because 1 second for each year that he's been dead. I guess if you wanted to, you could do 10 years, 1 year for every year that he's been dead, but I guess it's totally up to you. However you feel fit.
Yes,
so.
and much respect to everyone at Apple. Thank you for considering us, and we're sorry for this mistake. It will not happen again because, of course, now we know that he's no longer with us. Anyway, so we kind of get that sad news over, but we're gonna move into our next episode now. We got some exciting things planned. So obviously I'm back here with my co-host Calvin Hoffman, as well as a recurring guest that we've had on here multiple times before, Clyde.
Hello everyone again. I didn't know if I was supposed to wait until you introduced me or not to say anything, so I've just been kind of letting you two go.
Well, yeah, that's how it works.
Okay. Just wanted to be sure. Thank you.
Okay. Anyway, our topic this week is all about navigation, because when you're in the wilderness, it's kind of hard to know exactly where you're at, and knowing that can be helpful to finding a way out and surviving. So, that in mind, let's find our way right into navigation.
Absolutely. So, navigation is one of those kind of, I would say, probably another pillar of success. We'll just add another one to the pillars, I guess. It's going
to be a pretty well-supported
extremely
roof there.
Absolutely, yes. So, with that being said, I guess, navigation, there are tons of natural ways to go about navigating the wilderness. So, one of the kind of, I guess there are kind of two parts to it. So, if you're lost in the light, in the daytime,
yeah,
there's kind of that part, and then there's also the nighttime part, and those are both very different. But we'll just start with the daytime. So when you're out in the wilderness during the day, the sun is your friend. It's also not your friend if it's really hot, but that's for another discussion. So if you're trying to figure out which direction you're going, just kind of look directly at the sun and put your palm out, face or palm up, and then stick your finger right on your palm. And the shadow from doing that will point north every time.
Mm-hmm.
So if you do that, you can kind of get a bearing of which way north is, and all roads lead to north, I think, or something like that.
Famous
So
saying, yeah.
if you go,
On a road, just stay on it.
yep, exactly. So that's kind of one of the ways. Another pretty cool natural tip out there, I guess, thanks to Mother Nature, is that moss will always grow on, I believe it's the south side of trees and rocks. So that's another way to kind of get your bearing.
What does moss look like exactly?
I mean, moss can come in all kinds of different shapes and colors. Sometimes I've mistaken moss for, mushrooms or grass.
Right, well, don't
but,
ever mistake a mushroom.
Yeah,
That's bad news. I almost died. So be careful.
Yep, definitely always exercise caution when you're out in the wilderness. But yeah, moss is a great way to kind of find your bearing. So that's like if you're in the daytime and you can see.
And in the nighttime.
Yeah, the nighttime is another pretty important. I mean, it's half the day, so if you're trying to traverse the wilderness in the nighttime, just look up at the stars and follow the North Star, which is always in the north. Again, all roads lead north, so
And just like not all stars, but that's like the famous song, All Star. with
by
the stars.
Smash Mouth.
Yeah.
Yep, that is he. I think he really was a wilderness guy.
Yeah, he had it in mind.
So thanks to Smash Mouth, you are the man. So yeah,
So that sounds like pretty much what you need to know for navigating.
yeah.
Right?
And then if you want kind of a more precise kind of thing, you can always just go.
Are you just doing the whole thing, or do I get to say anything, or what's the deal?
I guess I thought this was kind of my.
Well, it's not a segment. It's like the whole topic. I think I should be able to have some input since it's my show.
Well, I am the co-host, so. But yeah, Sam, what did you have to say on this topic?
Well, I was just gonna say. They have all this great technology out now, and you can use that a lot of the times. Magnets are one really good thing that you can use because all magnets are pull to the north, I think. And so if you follow that, otherwise, if you have like a GPS or actually a compass is probably easier because it's more old-fashioned. So you take that, and then whatever direction you're facing, it'll kind of adjust itself.
Yeah.
Based on that.
Fun fact, if you're looking to buy one of those, we actually do sell both of them at Home Depot, where I work. So, fun little tip there for you.
Clyde, do you have any experience finding your way or navigating in the wilderness?
Typically the only thing that I need to navigate to is to town or to my house, and that isn't way too long of a trek through the wilderness. The few times that I have actually gone and explored and found that I needed to actually navigate, more or less, I found that sometimes having a map of the area, if you were going to head into it, just a little bit of pre-planning, was pretty helpful overall, except...
Well, maps, we could probably do a whole nother episode about
exactly.
that. There's so much to get to about that. But, also, when you're reading the navigation, whatever you're navigating with, you have to know all about directions.
Oh, of course, yeah.
And that's pretty important. And, if you look at just your basic compass, you see 4 little symbols or numbers, or not numbers, letters that you have to look at. And there's, I guess I don't remember exactly.
Well, there's
what
even
they are,
more than 4, though, because you can kind of combine them to create more different directions that kind of help you to get more towards where you want to go.
Okay. Well, can you tell us what all the directions are?
Yeah,
if
so...
you're the expert on it, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. So Obviously, the regular compass has south, north, east, south, north, east, west directions. But, and this is a cool tip that not many people know about, you can also combine them. For example, you can have north, north, northwest, north, east, south, northwest, east, north, south. Sorry, there's just so many. North,
It'd probably be east,
north,
south,
east,
north, and then west, north, west, south, west, east, south.
Yeah, I just always remember the analogy of the epitome of my Aunt Stacy never eats sour watermelon. Kind of gives you the whole circle of the directions on the compass. So,
Wow.
All right. Well, that's probably too much to remember if you're out in the wilderness. So, I guess that's not as helpful as we could have had.
Yeah.
But
I guess the moral of the story is there's all kinds of different ways to find your way. All kinds of different ways to find.
So
your
don't
way.
fret. Just find your way out. Just keep going in the direction that you.
Just
if
head
you
north.
go in one direction for long enough, you'll get somewhere.
Yep, for sure. Just do not stay where you are.
Yeah.
100% not. That's just going to lead to many problems. If you just
Alright.
pick a direction and go in it, you'll get somewhere eventually.
Okay, we were just saying that.
Yeah.
I think we have to go to our ad break here. And last week, I know we kind of set a high bar for ourselves with Apple, and with all the controversy around that and everything. We've decided to tamp it down a little bit, but we still have pretty high expectations for this show because it is pretty much an international success, an overnight success, I should say. And our audience has been really great in getting the word out to all these potential sponsors. So our unofficial sponsor this week, which, as you know, is a company that we're asking to sponsor us, and we're doing just kind of like a free ad for them. For this week, our unofficial sponsor is NASA, which NASA is another kind of household name, I guess, but a lot of people don't really know what they do. These companies kind of hide behind these acronyms, and then you don't really get a sense of what they actually produce. Unlike Apple, which they have Apple products, everyone knows what that is. NASA, on the other hand, doesn't really sell many cheap products for, everyday people, I guess. But it is interesting. I mean, do either of you know what NASA actually stands for?
No.
I thought that was just what they made.
Yeah. That's
No,
just
no,
kind of like
no.
the Apple thing.
No. NASA stands, I thought this was pretty cool, so listen. NASA stands for National Aeronautics and Space Administration, USA. They had a proposed budget in 2022, I guess. That's not this year. I don't know. That's next year. Well, that doesn't apply.
For some of our listeners in the future, that will be this year. But right now, it's next year, so...
Yeah. Well,
There we
anyway,
are.
I guess their proposed budget for that year is so many numbers that you're having me read here. It's just 801 .5 millions or billions, I guess. So 248. All right. They have a lot of money to burn, basically, is the idea here, and they're a government agency, so they get about that same 25.5 billion or dollar billion. That's the same number. Why didn't you just have me? That number was so much easier to read. Well, anyway, they have a $25.5 billion budget, essentially, from all your tax dollars. And so if they funnel that back to us, and we give that back to you in the form of facts and knowledge about surviving. So you're getting your money's worth, basically, is what we're saying. So please sponsor us, NASA. They're also famous for Neil Armstrong, who landed on the moon, and various Mars projects, which I'm sure we'll be seeing more of in the future, maybe in 2022, because that will be the year for them with the budget. We weren't actually able to find a CEO of them per se, but we're still looking. It might be Elon Musk, since we know he's been kind of affiliated with the whole space scene a lot. But we're looking into that, and we're making connections as we speak. We've also been reaching out to different government agencies and, asking them for that help, because I think we can really have a mutual relationship here. So this is great for you, and it's also great for us. So please reach out. We're sincerely asking you. We need to hear something soon, or else we're going to move on to someone else, which I know you would be disappointed by that, NASA. So anyway, that's our sponsor. Our potential sponsor of the week is NASA. So go out and support them and tell them to support us. And that's all right. So now we're on to the segment of the week. Last week we talked about wilderness updates, and now we're going to kind of shift gears, I guess, because this segment is called Geared Up, and it's going to be with Clyde. So Clyde, take it away.
All right. Hi, everyone, again. It's been a little bit since I've talked last, but welcome to my segment of the week, Geared Up with Clyde. This is just going to be kind of a segment in which I go over some necessary equipment that you need in the wilderness. As has been made very clear, I indeed live in the wilderness, and thus I have a plethora of equipment that I use in order to live in said wilderness. So I'm going to be going over, just every couple weeks, some important equipment that you may want to have if you're going to be out in the wilderness, and just some suggestions on those specific products. So the topic for this week, I believe, is going to be knives. Now, knives may not be exactly the first thing you think of when you're trying to think of stuff to, survive in the wilderness. However, the utility of knives is
pretty essential.
It's absolutely vast. You never know when you're going to need one. So I'm going to go over 3 of some of my favorite knives for wilderness survival. So our first one is an absolute classic, very well known. It's the Ka-Bar, the best military knife for survival. So, of course, this has to be one that I talk about. This is a nice, very high quality knife, has a nice 7-inch blade, very sturdy. It's been around for ages. It was originally issued to the Marines in 1942. And
that thing looks nasty.
It is quite nasty and quite good at doing whatever you need it to.
Wow.
You can really
That's cool.
get into anything. It's nice and sharp, can cut through basically anything. Extremely useful, and at only 11.2 ounces, it's surely not going to be a burden if you're going to bring it out on a trip. As I had mentioned last episode, with the whole bear thing, and how you have to take a cub hostage with a knife to the throat, this is a highly recommended knife for that situation. Very intimidating.
I have seen these before at Home Depot, so
Ooh, well,
quick little plug right there.
yeah,
So.
absolutely
Yeah,
perfect.
go
So
to
once
Home
again,
Depot.
big suggestion with that one. Our next one is the
Oh, you have
Kershaw.
more? You have more
Lone
than
Rock.
one?
Oh yeah, I have 3. I said it. I'll
just-
try to get
just
through them
get
quick.
through the
All right,
segment.
so next one is the Kershaw Lone Rock fixed blade gut hook hunting knife number 1896GH. Now you may be thinking, why do I need more than one knife? Well, this isn't your typical knife. It's sturdy, similar to the last one, but it also has the very high quality gut hook. If you're in the wilderness and you maybe need to get a little bit of food and need to hunt, maybe you can get your hands on an animal. A normal knife isn't going to be fantastic for getting through the flesh and getting into the innards and carving off the meat.
All right,
But this, however,
need
with
the
the gut hook, can get right under the skin,
details, but-
nice and quick, as the innards just kind of reach the outer air.
The
this
listeners
is-
don't want to hear about that. That's kind of
Well,
gross.
this blade has a 4.25 inch length and an overall length of 9.4 inches, so that's a pretty good blade to length ratio. And this one is even lighter at 5.6 ounces, so if you already have the one knife, you're bound to have room for this other knife. So This is
Well,
another
then
big
these are
suggestion.
the sort of things that you could probably just, cut out the middleman and use a Swiss Army knife sort of thing.
No, no. I'm sorry, but Swiss Army knives, the whole Swiss
All right, just
company
It
just
it doesn't matter.
I won't go
You said
into
you had
now.
a third knife too.
Yes, I do indeed have a third knife, and this is a special knife. Not quite my favorite, but quite useful in many wilderness survival situations. I don't have a specific product, as it's a slightly complicated topic, but my big suggestion for a third knife would be a switchblade. Now, this may seem a little off for a wilderness thing, but it's extremely convenient because it comes in a very nice and convenient handling. It is very discreet. That is also really helpful being out in the wilderness.
All right, I'm
So
getting a
whenever
message
you-
from Dan that we have to immediately stop talking about this.
Why?
I don't. He's just
Kind of
giving me the
flailing
kind
his arms and kind of doing the
Yeah.
Oh,
cut it out.
Um,
So I don't know if
okay.
that's
I probably just ran over time. We can certainly move on.
All right.
Let's finish her up.
All right. Well, thank you for that. So check out some of those knives, maybe at Home Depot. But that's about it for us this week. Thanks for tuning in. As always, we will be back next week with more wilderness tips. So please tune in then. This has been the How to Do Stuff in the Wilderness podcast. There we go. I'm working on it. I'll get it.
awesome.
Awesome.
All right. See you later.
Yep.
Bye,
Bye
everyone.
everybody.